Hello Tuan, welcome to our next video. As you can see, I'm not in front of my fridge today. I do apologize for that. Instead, I'm coming to you from my living room floor, and I've brought some friends with me to help in today's video. So our quiet critters have come along to give us a hand, and so I won't be able to speak any louder than this, because as you know, if I do speak any louder, then the quiet critters are going to get scared, they'll run off, and then we won't be able to do this video anymore. So you may have to turn your volume up, but this is as loud as I'm allowed to speak today. Now, our quiet critters have a problem. They know that there are 4 different varieties of them, 4 different colors, and they also know that there are 6 of them in each of their colors. But what they don't know is how many there are of them all together. And so we're going to help them figure that out today. And thankfully, while we've been talking, they've made our life a lot easier for us by putting themselves into a certain order. They've arranged themselves into their color orders, so we can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of them. And if we look carefully, there's a very technical term for the way they've set themselves out here, and that is an array. And that is what we're learning about today. So an array is where you set out whatever objects you have. In terms of this, it's our quiet critters, into rows, which is the ones going straight across, and columns, which are the ones going straight back like this. And as we've already seen, we have 6 going across in one of our rows, and we have 4 columns. And what we can do now is, instead of counting our quiet critters by going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all the way along, we can make it a lot easier for ourselves by going 6, 12, 18, 24, because we know there are 6 in each row, so instead of counting by 1s, we can count by 6s. Now, if counting by 6s was a little bit too hard, sorry, let's straighten him back out again. Counting by 6s is a little bit too tricky. We can count by 4s instead, by counting the columns instead of the rows. So we can go 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And we know that there are 24 of them all together, which is a lot quicker than going 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to be asking you 2 questions. So I'm expecting 2 answers from you. Now, the first question that I'm going to ask you is, while I've been talking again, some of our quiet critters have actually run away. I spoke too loudly for them and their ears hurt, so they ran off. But the braver ones stayed, and they stayed in this array here. Now, what I need you to tell me is how many are in each row. So remember, that's going along here. How many are in each column, and how many quiet critters we have left all together. Now, arrays, while being useful in being able to count groups of different quiet creatures or any other object that you have to find out how many you have in total, they're also really useful to be able to split things up into different types of groups. So for example, we now have a different array of quiet critters, and we have 12 quiet critters here overall. But this time I want to find out, if I was to split these quiet critters up into 4 different groups, how many would be in each group? And now with this array here, we've actually already got our answer, because we've split our array into 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, and 4 columns. So we know that our 4 columns equal 4 groups, and so in 1 column is 3. And so if we were to split our 12 quiet critters into 4 different groups, we would have 3 in each group. And now the same also works for the rows. Let's pretend we have our 12 critters, and we wanted to find out how many critters we would have if we split them into 3 groups. All we have to do now is to count across our rows. We know we've got the 3 rows, so if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, we know that if we split 12 critters into 3 groups, there would be 4 critters in each group. Now, as I said before, to end, there are 2 challenges that you need to complete in this video, 2 questions you need to answer, and this is the second one. Down below me, and I'll show it in a minute, my quiet critters have arranged themselves into a new array. You have to tell me 3 things about this array that we have arranged down here. Number 1, you have to tell me how many quiet critters there are altogether. Number 2, you have to tell me how many quiet critters would be in each group if you split them into 2 groups. And number 3, you have to tell me how many quiet critters would be in each group if I split them into 7 groups. Now remember, don't be too loud when you're solving this problem, otherwise you're going to make my quiet critters run away. And I will see you in class.